welcome to Leicester Jazz House TV. I'm Becky Wilson and I'm here today with Tony Bianco here at the Crumbling Cookie in Leicester. Hi, nice to meet you. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and the performance that you're going to be doing this evening?
Well, the performance this evening is with John Coltrane, and it's based on the duets that Rashid Ali and John Coltrane did, and we're doing all Trane's music, which is a pleasure for Paul and I. We've been friends for a while. I came to England in 1996, and I've been in England ever since. And I'm American, New York. You guys get that, right?
Well, could you just tell us a little bit how you actually got into jazz music and what influenced you growing up?
Well, my father was a drummer, and my grandfather was a guitar player. And so they always told me about Basin Street. My father saw all the heroes, and so did my grandfather. And they made jazz musicians heroes, which I don't know if that was a great thing to do, but I went for it, you know. And so I was around New York, and I just heard all these musicians, and it was always in my family, and talk about it all the time. Radio on 24/7, jazz, you know.
Well, I mean, do you actually remember what your first jazz album was, what you brought, growing up?
My father used to love Coleman Hawkins, and he just said, listen to this guy's saxophone. And my father used to tell me about all the forms of music, and he loved Dexter Gordon, and just, you know, of course he loved the drummers, Max Roach, Gene Kruger. My father loved Gene Kruger. He was from that generation, you know, and Buddy Rich, and, you know, Roy Haynes, Louis Hayes. My father was hip in that way, you know, and so I kind of heard those guys growing up.
So, I mean, we've mentioned about what the kind of things that you listened to growing up, but what's your opinions on jazz music today and the current scene?
Well, I think it's a divided scene. I think there's some great players out there, beautiful players, and I think it's not popular music, but it should try to be popular music. It shouldn't go for that. It should go for the virtue of the music. And there's so much out there, you know. I don't think that jazz should lose the connection to the traditional music. I think it should always be strong in traditions, but I think it should always innovate itself. And that's the point of jazz, is to constantly innovate, to constantly move and recreate itself. And that's what gives its spirit, its magnificence, is the innovation that's constantly going on.
What advice would you give to a young person that really, you know, is so passionate about jazz and really wants to get into it? You know, what advice would you give to them, considering how it is nowadays?
Well, if you're passionate about it, that's half the battle. If you love it, that's great. And you have to practice, and you have to be realistic. You know, and you have to keep yourself from negative thoughts about it, and you always have to have a positive drive, and like you said, you have to love it, and you have to practice, you have to work on it, and you have to concentrate. It's like being a scientist, only you don't get any of the glory of the scientist, or you don't get any of the you may make money in it or you may not. But that shouldn't be the point. The point should be the love of the music and where it came from and how it came about, the tradition of it, the spirit of it is very important. And I think that if you're meant to do it, you will do it.
And you've talked there about having the drive and the passion to get involved with jazz scene and music. You know, is that what exactly has driven you with your career? What's influenced you to make you think, wow, this is exactly what I want to do with my life?
Well, it's practically the only thing I can do. That's number one. You know, that's what I can. But it's also, you know, it's like Paul and I, we both love John Coltrane, and so he grabbed me. I remember one day getting out of high school, going into college. That's going into university here, and I was listening to all these great players, and I thought I could never do this. They're too good, these guys. You know? I was going to try to just forget jazz. But then I heard, and I always heard John Coltrane, but that particular day, I heard John Coltrane on the radio station. It might have been WRVR back in New York. And I thought to myself, I can do this. And yet it was the hardest music. But I thought, I can do this because I heard his sound. Now something spoke to me about what that was about. And I couldn't put that into words. And I thought that it made music spiritual. It touched something deeper than the surface. And I thought, yeah. And that's what, that's what gave me that kind of love to pursue that. And we're playing Train tonight, so it's great for me. I love it.
Great night for you. When it comes to your repertoire of music, is there a particular tune that you think, can't wait to play it? I'm really excited to see it. What song in your repertoire really gets you fired up and you can't wait to play it at a gig?
A tune? Well, these days, let me see. I mean, a traditional tune, obviously, like something from a tradition. That's a hard one because there's so many. I always love Milestones by Miles. Just if you're going to do a jazz gig and someone's going to call a tune, I just love that tune. I love the way Tony Bianco sets it up with the floor. And I love that. I love the way that was. I mean, these days on jazz gigs you might play originals, but on a traditional jazz gig, when someone's calling a tune, if they would call Milestones, I'd love it. So,
Yeah, I'll keep that one in mind for tonight then.
We're not going to play that tonight because we're going to play John Coltrane. We're going to play probably Naima, or we're going to play Alabama, Alabama is one of my favorites. But also, so I think we might play Agunde. We might play Peace on Earth. That's what we might play. One of Train's pieces, and we need that tune because we need peace on Earth. We play that, and there's one in particular I'm thinking about that maybe we can play tonight. Vigil. I love that tune by Train. That's what I love. And so, yeah.
Great. Well, I look forward to hearing it all this evening. It was great having you here.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much for talking, and hopefully this weekend.
My name is Tony Bianco, and you're listening to Leicester Jazz House TV.